sessions, 2 with you.
Okay.
One with my grandmother, one with Lily and Michael, one with Ricky Bobby Good, one with Kathleen and Peter Islin, one with 2 with the social worker at Jordan Valley Medical Center.
Okay. And all those happened during 2018?
4 in 2018, 4 in 2019.
Okay. Got it. So, what were the results varied with all 8 sessions, or what? Or what
Well, I mean, like, it was an absolutely horrible experience, as I'm sure you can imagine.
All of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All of it.
Okay.
Traumatizing, completely.
Okay. All right.
But, like, not hyperventilating anymore, and,
yeah.
I mean, I believe I'm fairly healthy.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
Yeah.
I am planning on doing a campaign on gaslighting and hypnosis.
Okay.
Making both, so gaslighting a 3rd-degree felony, since it is a form of psychological abuse.
Okay.
As well as hypnosis, involuntary hypnosis being a 3rd-degree felony, and then abuse with hypnosis being a 2nd-degree felony.
Okay.
I mean, you could even classify that as assault with a deadly weapon.
Okay. Well, so the intention is important. I mean, obviously that's huge. Yeah.
Most definitely.
And so there's all kinds of things out there that have positive intentions, and some that they're just, people don't realize that there's harm. It's not intentional. Does that make sense?
I can understand, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
can understand and respect that, so.
Yes. And so a lot of what is going on is it's whether or not there is. So another question. Did you sign or verbally agree to the hypnosis in all 8 cases?
No, never.
Okay, so you feel like they were all involuntary?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And then, so you've got some positive results in that, your well-being. I mean, what I see here in your ratings, like,
yeah, the PTSD is better, but
yeah.
Overall, I mean, the not drinking water, being hypnotized to not drink water unless I would notice I wasn't drinking enough water, or unless somebody else noticed I wasn't drinking enough water. That, I survived manslaughter with that one. You know what I mean?
Because have you been dehydrated from that, or what? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I developed urinary incontinence from it.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, to be expected, as well as a variety of other forms of manipulation.
Okay.
With the hypnosis.
Okay.
The financial exploitation, as an example, I was hypnotized to feel nauseated or sick when I would try to eat cheap food in an attempt to make me pay money for expensive food.
All right. Was that the intention, or do you know?
That was the intention with it. I know the entire thing that's going on. I got threats from these people, including yourself.
So some of what you're talking about is going on, I'm sure, dimensionally. It's not all, people are not aware of that, I'm sure. So would you say that, for example, your grandmother is aware of the hypnosis that she did?
Yeah, she's completely aware.
Would you say Lily?
It's not something that you do on an accident, you know what I mean?
It depends, because, the theory is that everything is hypnosis. Like, just repeating
hypnosis
thoughts,
is
repeating
a science.
Suggestions are, to some extent, but we're talking about suggestion as well, right? And so,
I mean, there's a difference, though.
Well, my understanding of the difference is that when someone experiences hypnosis, they agree to be hypnotized. There is an induction that they're aware of, consciously.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like the TED Talks and everything like that.
Okay, so none of these did you
And
have?
I remember
formal?
also being hypnotized as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I remember the first time you asked me, let's try hypnotherapy, and then you showed me that video. I blacked out, and you hypnotized me and everything along those
Okay,
lines.
I'm gonna
And
look at your file and just see
okay,
if any of that is something that I have record of. So I closed.
I'm
my
sure you should be able to
practice
remember the
in
incident, but
Yeah, it's the thing is you're not even in my list. So, I only have clients that go back to about 2017. So the dates aren't matching. And if I'd known, I would have grabbed your file from the past. But
so this was in 2018. I remember in April.
Yeah, I don't have any record of it because you're not even in my system, which I started in 2017. So, if we look, let's see, my experience working with you in 2000 was in 2017.
2017 and 2018.
And the main thing we were working on is my concern was that your use of different psychotropics was compromising the treatment that we would do. And so
You mean the nootropics?
the pharmaceuticals or
The medications that I was on.
medications, right, which is why I had you working with Paige Bernard. And so that was the main goal I had with you in 2017 is to figure out how the pharmaceuticals were affecting your well-being and if they were compromising you. So if I were worried about something, if it was me and I'd been in your shoes, that's what I would be worried about, is the damage that the pharmaceuticals would have done to me. And, as far as stimulants and, some of those.
Well, I mean, I had the medical uses and everything along those lines. I'm sure you can imagine.
Yes, but they're addictive and they can't, so.
They can be potentially addictive. The medications that you're referring to are often given to children.
Right, correct. And I use things to help negate the harm with things like that. But it's last resort in my book to use those. So
well, I mean, I understand you have a PhD in natural medicine, right?
Right, and so that is my preference, use natural solutions. Because I can understand a concern about being, I wouldn't call it hypnotized, but I would call it hijacked by something that I don't give consent, or not aware is hijacking me in the form of negative entities. So that's, I can relate to kind of what you're talking about, but that's the direction that I lean in as far as like if I'm going to take a cause and try to make a change, that's where I would personally direct it, rather than people that are attempting to do good. And I don't know these names, but a social worker at a hospital, my guess is attempting to do well.
Well, if you had nothing but horrible intentions the entire time, I'm sure you're aware.
That would be a problem for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that you're aware that hypnosis can also be used to abuse a person. I gave you the example where I survived manslaughter from it.
Okay. So let's just look at dehypnotizing. So the idea of, my sense is like if you believe that there's a way to have, to be free of something, what is it you want to be free of? Or what would you like restored?
Well, I just want to undo all the hypnotic suggestions that I'm under the influence of, as well as, of course, reverse the memory loss or the amnesiac benefits from,
amnesia benefits. That's not the terminology. I apologize about that.
That's okay.
The amnesia
No,
from the
amnesia.
hypnosis.
Okay.
Hypnosis-induced amnesia, preventing me from being able to even repeat the instructions that I was given.
Okay.
With the hypnosis, you know what I mean.
So,
for example, like experiencing the amnesia when I was hypnotized not to be able to drink water, or even hypnotized in general, not having any recollection of the event. I'd like to be able to recall that and
recall it.
Use it
so
to
that it's
testify in court.
okay. What is your intention? What's your goal?
Well, I mean, I'm sure you can imagine we've talked about politics quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of this is centered around different forms of abuse. So the hypnosis, the gaslighting. Part of the campaign would also include recording audio and video with doctor visits, to therapy sessions, to psychiatric visits, etc. Just to ensure client safety.
Okay.
I'm sure that you can recall that, as well as let's see. So with the gaslighting part,
So you're suggesting like all hypnotherapy sessions be recorded so that you have a record of what happened. Yeah.
I mean, it's logical and rational.
So that you have a record of what happened, and it was and you can, because when you go under, you want to know. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's also nice to have the records of it. You know what I mean? Just for future, purposes, in case a client has questions regarding the ethical standards of the counselor, of the practitioner.
So just to clarify, if I were to have done a session with you even close to this, it would have been guided imagery, which is not a full hypnosis. And typically clients are conscious or aware during something like that. So anyway, so I see what you're saying, but I'm not getting the connection between these 8 sessions, I guess, completely, because number one, I don't know that these are actual hypnotherapy sessions.
I mean, it wasn't therapy necessarily. It was just hypnosis. Experiences, right. I guess you could call it.
So it wasn't done as a therapy session.
No.
In many of these cases. Okay.
I'm sure that, you have an idea where it was, it involved the political threats. It involved, that inhibition of, memory, of cognition.
Okay.
Let's see, other, and just straight up abuse, right? Control.
Okay. So I have some thoughts on what could support this. And the mind is powerful, right? The mind is very powerful.
Controls just about everything in the body, so.
Yeah. So in the studies or in the training I've had since I met with you, I've learned there are really 4 bodies. Okay. So the 4 bodies, physical body, you can touch it, it moves.
Yeah.
There's chemistry to physical body. So when you take a medication, it's impacting the physical body. Then there's the vital body, which is the energy body, and that's a layer of us that the Eastern practices work with, like acupuncturists. There's meridians, and then in Ayurvedic medicine, there's chakras.
Okay.
So there's an energy body.
Yeah. Wait. So you're not talking about are you talking about spiritual? Sorry, just a little.
No, just the energy body, the
concentrating.
vital body.
The vital body.
Yeah, and that's something I like to assess with people because it gives information as well as, because the mind is tricky. The mind is the 3rd body, and the mental body isn't in one place. Does that make sense? Physical body's in one place. the vital body stays with the physical body. Okay?
Okay.
Because it's a layer of us that's our energy body. Does that make sense?
That's interesting.
So, like, an acupuncturist isn't really putting a needle in your body. They're putting a needle in the meridian that flows around the physical body.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a thing.
So how do you define the meridian?
There's a map of meridians in traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay.
And so they're mapped out. There's flows of energy that are supposed to be certain direction. They can be blocked or unblocked. And, you know, like if you have a headache, sometimes there's a flow of energy that's blocked or that's excessive. You can correct the flow of energy and then your headache goes away.
Yeah.
You're with me there.
Yeah.
So I do a little bit with meridians because I see that sometimes that's how we correct an imbalance, is because meridians basically tell us how in balance or out of balance we are.
Okay.
Okay. So that's part of the natural medicine approach.
Okay.
And then the third body is the mental body. And when people have an imbalance in the mental body, the best thing to do is come back to the vital body or to the physical body to correct it. Because if you try to fix it with the mind, you'll go in so many directions, all kinds of places.
You said the third body is the mental. Okay.
The mental body can be in the past.
That makes sense, yeah.
It can
So
be-
like
it can try to
cognitive
jump
thought,
to the future.
emotions included in that.
Emotions are more with the vital body.
I get you.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
That makes more sense.
So when you're feeling rage, it's moving out through that vital body. You
Yeah.
can actually feel it sometimes when people walk in the room and they're really intense. You can feel their energy.
Yeah.
Emotion. Yeah. Okay. When they're really sad, you're sitting next to somebody who's in despair. Sometimes you feel that.
Yeah, I get you.
Got it. Okay.
Body language, stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's a vibe. It's a vibe. We actually.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay. Awesome. So I would like to look at what's going on with your vital body just for more information because I'm trying to get a sense of. Well, I don't know that we're going to solve this by trying to fix the mental body right now. So I'd like to see where you're at in the vital body if you're okay with that. Because if there's any reversals energetically.
The most important thing that I want to do is just get into the hypnosis at the state that I was in before.
Okay. I don't know that that's where I would go first because I want to picture what also the fourth body. We didn't talk about the fourth body. So the fourth body is considered kind of the spiritual or quantum body, and it's what determines the blueprint. Okay, so there's some DNA aspects to that. It's like the blueprint of our journey. And it also has to do with the purpose and intention of sometimes of what we go through. So for me to know more about the unhypnotizing you, that also would be helpful to understand more of.
I mean, I can understand your point of view, but what I'm really here for is the hypnotherapy right now.
Okay. However,
Understand?
what you're telling me is that you have an interesting relationship with hypnotherapy, right?
I guess you could call it interesting, right?
It's interesting.
You can call it whatever you like, but yeah, I'm mostly just here to try to get hypnotized and reverse those suggestions and of course testify in court and everything regarding all the threats that I received. So,
however, some of the suggestions may be why you are functioning well. So, yeah.
Not exactly.
Not exactly. Okay.
I mean, they definitely had an influence in a treatment of certain medical conditions with the PTSD, but not in my best interest for other people's best interest.
Okay.
in the sense of, like medical malpractice and, concealing evidence by, treating the symptoms or treating the condition that I suffered from just to make it more difficult for me to file medical malpractice, to obtain evidence, to exhibit evidence to others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, if you want to be free of hypnotic suggestions that are harmful, that are harmful or that are in the way of your purpose.
Because hypnosis as a science can be treated, can be used to treat a variety of different conditions, from pain to anxiety to depression to all sorts of things. Hypnosis in itself is very powerful. I've seen on the TED Talks, for example, where somebody was, it can also, one of the forms of treatment for PTSD can be with amnesia. So then, a person has no recollection of an event, of a traumatic event that even ever happened.
Okay.
Or, they could do that for, they can do that for therapeutic purposes, or they can induce amnesia for a variety of purposes that have no respect for the end of the victim's well-being, in a sense, right?
Right.
So, as an example, I remember this one was a TED Talk. This was for entertainment and educational purposes. There was a man named Darren. This was done by the incredible Boris. He hypnotized him, and he hypnotized him to forget his own name. He couldn't even pronounce his own name. He didn't know his own name. Then he hypnotized him to believe that his name was Chip, and the rest of the presentation, he thought his name was Chip.
Right. So those types of hypnotism are not therapeutic typically. They're more like...
it's hypnosis. It's hypnosis.
Kind of thing. Is that...
it was a TED Talk, so it's an educational, informational.
Okay. But it's more...
what I mean.
The intention isn't to try to change someone's life for the better. It's to show the power of hypnosis.
Yeah.
Okay. So my intention is to support you in the best way possible. And I can see tons of progress. That is good news.
That's wonderful.
I am so glad.
I am glad that I'm not in excruciating pain from the trauma anymore, but...
Yes, for sure.
I'm not happy to be under somebody else's control.
I agree. That is not pleasant. So the highest frequency, you do understand frequencies as far as that concept, that there's...
Well, I know, for example, with, like different brain waves and everything like that, and it's theta level brain waves to be able to...
Theta is where healing happens, or suggestion is more powerful.
Dream,
correct.
or, hypnosis induction.
Is theta level, yeah. So I'm talking more about a lifestyle frequency. So the idea being that low frequency lifestyles are, you live in misery, you're in poverty, you have, lack, and life sucks. No low frequency. Does that make sense?
Been there, done that, yeah.
There. You're at a higher
I'm
frequency.
understanding for, people that are in that type of situation, and caring them, empathetic.
And it's hard to, it's hard
I'm
to get out of
loving.
it.
You know what I mean?
Those are higher frequencies, so you can advance to, so intention can have different frequencies. So a low frequency intention would be to do harm. A mid frequency intention would be, manage the situation, try to stay above water, so to speak, as far as, financially, or trying to just get by, right?
Okay. I base my intentions all off of morals.
Yes, and so there's high level morals that are
you know what I mean,
improve the world, and so the highest
and help people that are vulnerable to various forms of abuse, manipulation.
Yes, let's help people.
Honesty is a wonderful thing. Integrity,
Mm-hmm. And so
my train of thought is some confusion induced from the hypnosis. I remember, for example, I was told that when I was hypnotized, they told me they were going to take me to the laundromat. They hypnotized me to feel like my brain was going through a washing machine on the spin cycle, turning to mush.
Wow. That's frightening.
And then I was hypnotized to experience confusion, memory loss, disorientation, dizziness, and all those symptoms of like sleep deprivation, where your mind feels foggy, you're disoriented, you're confused,
Okay.
sometimes even dizzy, right?
Yeah.
And they did all of that because they told me that they were, quote, brainwashing me.
Okay.
Do you understand the little
That's
tacky
those
pun,
are
right? That's something that's inhibiting me, of course,
Yeah.
right? Because
Right.
I'm a very intellectual person. I'm a very scientific person.
Which is the other reason I kind of want to get out of your head enough to find a solution that, sometimes the mind doesn't create the solution, it is the problem. Does that make sense?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be someone else's mind, right?
Maybe. I think
If there's conflict
our own
involved.
mind is the one thing that we control. And I question how often mind control is really the issue.
I've seen it happening a lot.
You've seen it happen a lot. Okay, so there's a reason you're seeing that. That's one of those things that could be in your fourth body, your quantum body, is that this is something that gets to be resolved somehow. So another thing we could do is, it's called quantum biofeedback, and it does gather information from that quantum body to say, all right, here's some things to know that might be part of the solution.
Okay, so far I'm feeling like a vibe that I'm getting from you, right?
Yes, I will tell you, I have a very complicated mind. I went to a hypnotherapist because I wanted to understand more of myself, more of my depth.
Yeah.
And she taught me a lot about my own mind, and one was to get away from that as the solution and into other types of therapy and solutions. And I'm feeling that with you, yes. That if hypnosis is the problem, I don't know that hypnosis is the solution.
I've never heard of that before. I mean, as an example, even during the TED Talk, right? Like, the power of the hypnosis was so inhibiting.
Yeah.
That, there's not really any other type of therapy or treatment that you can possibly use to reverse that. The only thing that you could possibly do would be hypnosis. Am I correct in that?
Maybe.
Because, it was kind of like
you believe,
clap on,
matters.
clap off, right?
Got it.
Kind of, he just followed the instructions.
Yeah. Can we do something similar
completely
to hypnosis
involuntarily.
to try to see where that goes?
I want to just try hypnosis.
Just regular plain hypnosis.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Because, I'm really ready to start off my campaign. I've been waiting patiently, right? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Just a mental block, right? Mental barrier with my thoughts and everything. That's why I had to bring up the subject of that little brainwashing quote or hypnotic suggestion, you could call that, right?
Okay.
That would be the technical terminology for it, right? Or is that more of an instruction?
No, that's okay. That would make sense. But yeah.
Yeah,
so
they inhibited my cognition with the hypnosis.
And would you like the session recorded?
It is being recorded.
Okay. All right. So I'll grab my manual and we can start if you're up for that. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Okay. All right. So your job then. So we'll do what's called an induction.
Okay.
And so you'll just relax, and we'll take you as deep as you're comfortable going.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Sounds wonderful.
And then we'll use the time that you're, in this state to, typically, to find, a centering within yourself or a place where you're safe. So we establish safety.
Okay.
Then we bring in support in the form of a guide.
Okay.
You're comfortable with that?
Yes.
Because you find that yourself. And then what we'll do is we'll basically allow you to go back to where the problem began and start use with your guide and with your awareness correcting what needs to be corrected.
Sounds wonderful.
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so go ahead and sit back.
Okay.
And
Should I clear the couch or anything like that? Maybe just
Well, it's
move
up
this
to
over
you.
and get comfortable, right?
yeah.
All right.
All right. So, yeah, just to clarify, you are asking for this treatment and believe that it is going to be the most effective. And so
Oh, yes.
I will work with that. All right. So go ahead and as you sit back and relax, allow yourself to take 3 slow, deep breaths. And then you're welcome to close your eyes if you wish. You might even imagine that your eyelids feel slightly heavy. And in that slight heaviness, you might just allow them to kind of droop a little and relax more. And as you focus on the sound of my voice, allow all other sounds to drift into the background. Go ahead and imagine that there is a light of pure positive energy supporting you, coming toward you from a place that you do trust. This light represents peace, unlike anything the world knows. And just imagine that light coming to grace the top of your head. This light of pure peace begins to move over you and through you. Imagine this light dropping down into your mind and clearing out any tension or stress. Imagine the light replacing all tension and stress. Notice how pleasant that feels as the light then drops into your throat center. And again, it creates a sense of safety and peace. Relaxing your neck muscles. Allowing you to breathe more easily. And the light drops down into your shoulders now. Relieving any burden you might feel, any stress or tension in your shoulders. And imagine this light now moving through your arms and out through your hands. You may feel lighter and less tension as it continues to move down through your heart. Opening your heart space comfortably, creating a sense of safety.
1 second. Should have do not disturb on here, right? There it is. There we go. Sorry about that.
You're good. Just breathing into your heart center. Restoring your peace, remembering where your mind, shoulders, arms, and heart center are all relaxed. And then imagine the relaxation moving down into your stomach and your abdomen. Calming those areas of your body. And then imagine this light moving through your legs, from your hips, through your legs, out your knees and feet. Deeply peaceful and comfortable. And now imagine this light has gone from head to toe, flushing away any debris or stress, any tension, and also cushioning you with light and safety. And the more peaceful you become, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the more peaceful you become. And just continue that long, deep breathing, knowing that you don't have to try to become peaceful and relaxed. You just allow. Allow gravity to help you get nice and comfortable and deeply peaceful. And as I count from 10 to 0, each number will take you twice as deep into comfort and peace. Starting at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. And now, even deeper still, imagine you step into an elevator that's designed to take you into a deeper conscious state, a deeper subconscious state, to allow you to do deeper healing, accomplish our goals today, go ahead and step into that elevator and imagine it taking you down deeper, allowing yourself to be comfortable and safe, quieting your mind, deepening your awareness until you reach the bottom. And now, using your imagination, step out of that elevator into a place that provides you with a sense of comfort and security, a place that's yours alone. It could be some place you've been before, or a place you create. Just visualize it as you think about what it's like, what time of day it is, what the temperature might be. The air feels. Go ahead and tell me, as the sound of your own voice only takes you deeper, where do you find yourself?
Province Canyon.
Wonderful. And what time of year is it?
June or July.
Summer.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Go ahead and imagine yourself, what is it you enjoy most or value most about this place?
Good memories. Found the meaning of life out there, right? I think I remember telling you about that. Desires to help people. I had a lot of interesting experiences on psychedelics, as well as a lot of enjoyable walks with my dogs and just good times with my friends. So.
Wonderful. And so let's go ahead and imagine you can go to the place that was the most beneficial there, the spot in that place that was the most beneficial. A place where perhaps you had the best memories or tapped into the meaning of life. And tell me how it feels to be there.
It's refreshing. It's calming.
Yeah.
Soothing.
And this place is available for you at any time. It's somewhere that you can take yourself at any time that you need that refreshing, calming, and soothing experience. So just give yourself a moment to soak in the positives that are here for you. Breathe it in. Maybe even allow yourself to go a little deeper, knowing that you're in this safe place. Go ahead and imagine your body experiencing a little bit of drowsiness or heaviness. Finding a place where you can relax even more. Allowing yourself to drop down into the earth, the gravity. hold you. Allow the gravity and the earth around you to deepen you in your experience. And as I say the word deeper still, notice yourself being able to go into the depth of comfort and peace. Deeper still. And now imagine, when you're ready, a wise and loving guide to come here and be with you. Just spontaneously, without judgment. Allow it to appear, accept it as it comes. It is wise and loving and knows you very well. When you feel as though it is here, just say yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Describe out loud your guide as the sound of your own voice will only take you deeper.
I imagine Jesus.
Wonderful.
For a variety of reasons, I'm sure you can understand, kind of just, rising up above all the evil, greed, and corruption in the world, right?
Wonderful. And go ahead and imagine greeting Jesus, thanking him for his role, this beautiful role of rising up above all the negativity. Thank him and imagine that greeting, and how does he respond?
Oh, it wasn't easy, man.
It wasn't easy. He acknowledges that his role has been
Difficult.
a difficult role.
Struggle. A lot of criticism, but he overcame it, right?
Overcoming, yes. Overcoming.
For good intentions as well, so.
Yeah.
Unconditional morality, which is one of the reasons I always admired him as a role model in my life. I think we've talked about that a little bit in the past.
Yes, wonderful.
Kind of like Gandhi and Buddha, even George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, for example, too.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's quite a set of amazing guides, but this guide in particular, go ahead and imagine you can have a conversation with him, telling him about your challenges, what you have struggled to overcome. Go ahead and just imagine this conversation, him hearing it all.
So, biggest struggle and obstacle I faced was, kind of coming from the government and lawmakers, politicians, a lot of, organized crime within the government, so.
And just imagine in your mind that you have this conversation and tell him, so that you can see in your mind's eye, see yourself conversing. And just letting it go as just a release of information. When we talk to a guide like this, a lot of times we can convey what we need to convey in moments. And see yourself telling the story in these moments, describing challenges and those who've posed difficulty for you?
All right.
Emotion.
Very emotional experience. I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna affect my mental state, right? But so a lot of anger and aggression in the experience, varying from being abused to just evil tactics that were used against me. The hypnosis, the mind control, the variety of extents that they went through just to control me. So
Yeah, and imagine that you're able to share all of that in such a simple way to your guide. And then give him a moment, yourself a moment, and then notice how he responds. When you're ready, tell me about how he responds.
Kind of with a whoa, holy shit, what happened? Kind of the same type of response that I would get from most people when I tell them that I got hypnotized 8 different times by 8 different people who collaborated together against me.
So he validates what you've been through.
Well, I mean, kind of a like holy shit, kind of taken back, eyes wide open and everything. Expressions of shock.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of, the average reaction that I would get out of people when I told them that my experience in the briefest summary possible.
And so how does it feel to know that he has really heard you? He is shocked and taken aback by what you're sharing. How does that feel?
Disappointing, because I feel like I have a large responsibility on my shoulders.
That can be very heavy, yeah, to have a large responsibility.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Stress, but...
Okay. And so if
it's worth it.
If that large responsibility, that pressure and stress, go ahead and then imagine that you can talk to your guide about how that feels.
Feel like I got a headache, man. Office job, just working constantly, trying to get things organized. Very competitive when I don't even want to compete. Very difficult, requiring a lot of hard work, but worth it, right, in the end.
Okay. Go ahead and imagine you can ask Jesus, based on this awareness, what's the most important thing that he wants you to know?
Probably that, he's been crucified, for example, but, he did everything that he did out of love, kind of like how I was roaming the streets, homeless, and preaching, like Jesus did, right?
Yeah.
And, sorry, what was the question one more time?
What's the most important thing he wants you to know about this pressure, this constant work and responsibility you have?
I know he wants me to know who I can and cannot trust, and that, to
pay attention to, you know, people's intentions. He wants me to know that the struggle is very significant, but you know, as soon as I have that chance to break the news, you know, it'll be over. As soon as I actually get unhypnotized, it'll be over. And you know, formally induced.
Go ahead and take a deep breath here. And allow yourself to let go of some of this pressure, this work for a moment. Imagine yourself being placed, knowing that you have this work, this pressure. You can see it in a screen, so to speak. That's your work. Imagine it on a screen, like a picture screen. Notice how big that picture screen is. How big would you describe it?
Reminds me of a movie theater.
Yeah, a movie theater. Okay. Go ahead and imagine that you're able to back yourself away from that screen so that when you do that, our perspective of the screen gets a little smaller, a little smaller.
Okay.
Okay.
Like a TV screen.
So now it's a TV screen. How does that feel?
I feel like I could be on the news any minute.
Oh, nice. And does it feel like with the screen being smaller, does it feel less overwhelming or ever present? Is it more manageable?
I would say it feels more realistic in the present moment.
Okay, in present moment. Okay.
More relevant.
Yeah. And so imagine now that Jesus is there with you, and just relax more. Go ahead and imagine you've got a seat to sit in.
All right.
And your screen is like a TV screen, and your distance is reasonable. Maybe even back up a little bit, like. And go ahead and provide another chair next to you for Jesus to sit in.
Have a seat, Jesus.
A little deeper, yeah. And relax a little deeper because you can even pause the screen and imagine yourself even taking a little nap almost. Just relax.
I gotcha.
Yeah, just relaxing. Knowing that you can always push play again when it's time. But right now you're just in the seat, a very comfortable seat. Imagine how it feels to be there. If it's cushions, ideal. Nice. Yeah, your body is adjusting to that relaxation. You're letting go more. Breathing a little deeper.
Can I change the guide to my friend Ian just so I don't start laughing?
Of course.
I
Because
appreciate
Jesus doesn't
that.
watch too much TV, maybe. Huh?
This is true, right?
That's
Thank
great.
you.
But imagine Jesus is part of your experience, however you wish that to be. And then, yeah, put Ian next to you. Tell me about Ian. Is he a wise and loving individual?
Best friend since childhood.
Wonderful.
Fellow atheist.
Mm.
As well as, I mean, you know, an honest person. He's dealt with, say, for example, gaslighting and everything like that. Psychological abuse. So, you know.
Has he evolved through it?
He survived it. I'll say that much.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily grown stronger, just, you know, I mean, he's learned.
He's learned. Okay.
You know, reality, right?
Yes. Tell me, what benefit does Ian have in being with you right now? How does that benefit you?
Well, I mean, you know, there's the companionship as well as, I mean, we both have common goals and common interests, common moral codes, right? Good hearts.
So this companionship,
intelligence.
commonality, and good heart and intelligence. So he has these traits that you may value in yourself as well.
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful. And go ahead and imagine the higher version of Ian, the more evolved or the highest frequency Ian, there next to you. And again, relax deeper. Are you able to relax a little deeper knowing you've got your best friend
Yeah.
nearby? Good. Okay, so relax.
He's
down.
in Vegas.
Okay, relax down a little more. Allow yourself to go a little deeper, knowing that all you have to do in this moment is sit in a comfortable seat. The TV of work, of your mission in life is on pause for a moment. It's not even getting your attention. Your best friend is nearby. Your job in this moment is to just relax. Go a little deeper. Now I want you to imagine going back to the time where these challenges began. And tell me about what year or what age go back to.
2018
Okay.
and 2019.
Yes, and is the focus of the challenges the hypnosis that was not
Yes.
in
Entirely.
focus? Okay, yes. So go ahead and imagine now that you are able to view, so you're the observer, you're able to view yourself. And go ahead back to the first session that needs correction and to be aligned with your highest good. Go ahead and imagine that session now. See yourself like you are still sitting in your seat, and that you is on a screen now. It comes in front of the TV even. So you can imagine the size you wish it to be for your viewing, and you see yourself on that screen experiencing the hypnosis. Go ahead and see that person who did the hypnotizing. Notice from this viewpoint, imagine that you can track in almost two columns. One column is the things that may have been beneficial in the session, and the other not beneficial. Do you see?
Very large difference.
Large difference, mostly not, or mostly
I see a warning not to wear a mask in the beneficial side.
okay.
And it's only, one benefit, right? But
You see one benefit.
it's balancing, right?
Okay.
To all the negatives, basically. That one benefit, right, was just so heavy,
It was important.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
You can
that's
imagine,
good.
Okay.
Okay. So you see the huge benefit of that one thing.
Oh, very easily, yeah.
And so now imagine your friend Ian, and go ahead and still, Jesus might have a voice in this because he is an amazing healer and wise. And now imagine knowing what to do with this non-beneficial list.
Well, I mean, there's accepting it, there's reporting it, there is, of course, just doing the right thing with it, right? I mean, setting it as an example, with, I guess, respect or understanding of what it is, right? But, acceptance and, trying to comfort others that might be in fear of that, right? Trying to prevent that from happening again. Setting up a organization, organizing laws in government to ensure, morality and to deter lack of corruption, right?
So let's imagine.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, so these are things you haven't done yet. So imagine another screen where you can put kind of like a possibility list of turning this negative list into a positive outcome. So imagine a separate screen. It could be a notebook or it could be a computer screen somewhere that you can keep information for later. Imagine that you can move all of the potential benefit of that experience into that. Do you see a computer or what do you see? Where would you put this?
I used to work on a laptop a lot. I've used a notebook recently as well, but laptop is what I'm used to, right?
Okay. Do you see putting it into your laptop somewhere that you can preserve and protect it?
I'm probably just in I could do that. Little folder icon with a lock
folder.
on it, right?
Good.
Put in a password for
it. You're in charge of that information. Yes. And you don't have to figure out what to do with it right now. How does that feel?
It feels like it's on the side, right?
You can put it in a file.
Empty Word document up.
Yeah, and you can put all that information into that file. So once you've used that experience for its potential, or recognized potential of it, like you said, a beautiful list of possibilities, can you see yourself putting those into the file? And then see yourself now, imagine the healer himself coming to relieve your mind, to create that correction.
So I imagine my friend, and I kind of imagine you right now, so.
Okay.
You can understand, right?
The healer is around us. There's many healers, yes. And can you feel some relief or a sense of peace? What do you find in this healing experience?
What I imagine kind of like having a YouTube video, right? In a separate tab, separate window. Don't know what that video is quite yet. Have seen it on another tab, right? And then I'm imagining, opening an Excel chart to start organizing and characterizing, organizing and classifying certain aspects, right? Making it into a presentation, so to speak, almost kind of like a PowerPoint, right? Like a special program downloaded by the FBI, right? For criminal investigation purposes. Yeah, confidential file. Yeah. Confidential programming, too. Basically taking those aspects. Another tab, overwhelmed with tabs, right? Another tab pops up with petitions, programs, political stuff, even presidential exemption, right?
Yes.
And trying
And how
to
does this feel to you?
get this busy work done.
Yeah.
Feels tiring, but worthwhile.
Okay.
You know, feel like just working on just working on it, getting it done. Not too difficult anymore, right? Felt overwhelming at first, just typing away.
It's like a work that it's possible to do. It's realistic.
Multifaceted, right?
Multifaceted work. Is it realistic?
It's very realistic to me.
Yeah. And is it something you can also pause from, like we paused the TV earlier, and put it back in its file?
Definitely go ahead and save the progress that I made, right?
Yes, save your progress. Yes, imagine saving the progress. Putting it back in the file.
So,
and do
naming the document there. So, little unfinished petition,
the unfinished
basically.
petition.
One unfinished program.
Yes, okay.
Halfway done
Save
about.
in your laptop. And now, when you look back at you, because that's on the side, now look back at the scene where you were experiencing that original hypnosis. Does it feel like you're able to keep the beneficial part, and are you free of the remainder?
I'm feeling like that beneficial part is, you know, I mean, it definitely outweighs the rest, right? You know, I mean, it's kind of teetering with the current situation right now. You know, literally right now. And, you know, I mean, it's kind of at the fulcrum on a teeter-totter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I mean, it could kind of go either way, but, you know, it definitely has the ability to do whatever it really wants, right?
Is it balanced?
I mean, I would say that it's leaning right now, you know, definitely. To the positive, yeah.
Good. Okay. And so does it feel like that's enough for this first experience for now? Or would you like to work on more?
Like an induction.
Okay, so back, because we can go to the second hypnosis experience if you'd like.
Okay.
But you can stay in your state and we can keep working on this. It's up to you.
So, I mean, you are prepared to perform an actual induction, right?
Well, I did at least a partial induction, yes.
I mean, I felt like that was kind of like a pre-inductive script.
Yes, probably true. Yeah. And I have some deeper inductions. I wasn't sure if you were, how deep you were. And so in the training I'm in right now, I'm at a certain point with it, but I've got more training to do. And the thing that actually felt like for you today might be the most helpful was actually something I have on audio. If you'd like to try that, for me it takes me deeper and does a little deeper work. So.
You have it on audio?
Yes, audio.
Okay, so what is that?
But I feel like you pulled out of the experience, and so would you like to complete the experience for now?
I mean, I just want to get the, like, formal induction, you know what I mean? Like the stuff that I've seen on the TED Talks with, like, where a person experiences sleep paralysis and everything.
I don't do that type. Yeah, I don't take people that deep. So, people have different
that's
levels
hypnotic induction.
Yes, people have different levels of suggestibility and response to inductions. And so, so I've had people go deeper with what I've done with you. I've had people go quite a bit deeper. So what I'm noticing is that and that's why I did try to keep doing a little deeper induction because I felt like you were coming out. So that's
Yeah,
why
it
I would
seemed
want
like,
to work with the other layers a little bit.
It seemed like all you did was almost kind of like a little meditation and asking questions and stuff, little guided imagery, which I know is part of hypnosis, but there's no induction attempt.
Okay. Well, I was definitely hesitant to do hypnosis when your hypnosis was the issue. So I felt like there was just a little bit of, so dehypnotizing to me may not be about hypnosis. Does that make sense? Because I don't know where you went completely.
It seems to me like logically, I mean, when a person enters hypnosis, they're given instructions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're verbal instructions. It's not any like overcomplication or difficult concept to understand. I mean, whenever I've seen, from my personal experience as well as on the TED Talks, like, the person enters the sleep paralysis, right? Often they drop their head, and then, just giving them instructions, and those instructions can change.
Well, and so what you're looking at is
so then,
highly
they can
suggestible. Does that make sense? So when somebody who has that hypnosis,
I know there's varying susceptibility to it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where like the theta levels
Right.
get involved. Even occasionally the use of sodium amytal for hypnotic induction.
And there are,
because it slows down your
some
brain
things like
waves.
that. Correct. So what you're observing, like on a TED Talk, or what you'd see, like if you went into a hypnotist who's doing it for entertainment purposes, is they weed out the audience to get that person or people who are the most highly suggestible in an audience of 100.
Susceptible, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. I mean, I've seen a variety of entertainers.
So I've had clients who go.
This was also educational, yeah.
Right, and I've had clients that go much deeper. So I did keep working to try to get you a little deeper with that. But if you're open to it, I would like you to try an audio version of. It's like a hypnotic healing process, and it's only about 15 minutes.
So I remember you showing me a video on your phone before, and that induced me into hypnosis.
Really? Which video was that? Do you remember?
You asked me if I wanted to see a hypnosis porn.
Okay, so you were talking about an entire timeline. So this is what I wondered. We're talking about an entire timeline that was, yes, it is out there, but it is not in this reality. I am familiar with what you're talking about, and it was very interesting when you called me, and I'm like, wow, if somebody else knows about this timeline, that would be very interesting. So it is a different timeline. Does that make sense?
This was April, was what time I remember it.
Well, you went into a different timeline than, yeah.
Well, I mean, I definitely entered, like, I wanted you to take me as deep as that did, right?
Okay.
Because, that was a full-blown induction.
Okay. Well, so that, I am aware of my timelines related to this.
Okay.
But they are not the timeline I chose to step into in this reality. They were timelines for my learning, but they are not the timelines that were the actual choice of this reality.
That's a
Are you with
confusing
me?
statement.
It
So
is
it sounded
very
like, I mean, you've been persuaded to do some of the things that you did.
Well, your experience of that are not the timeline that I am living in this reality. Does that make sense? I know that's.
I'm a little like you're making it sound like a different dimension of reality, but it's
a different
one
timeline.
Okay, so I mean, I had that experience, and I was put into induced into like full blown hypnosis. Where you were able to give me any type of instruction that you wanted to,
which is very powerful, and there's so much to
Can
that.
you do that again?
I don't know that I can do that again. I'm training in this hypnosis right now for a reason. I don't completely understand it yet. But the next level of the hypnotherapy training I'm doing is regression. And then the third level.
So I mean, you were a hypnotherapist back then. I mean,
it's in a different timeline.
You did it
yes.
twice. So there's the video,
Okay.
and then I think you did a normal induction the second time. I don't quite remember.
Okay.
My mind's a little fuzzy on that, but I mean, if you really do want that exemption, like.
Well, this teacher, so he's a teacher slash healer. Okay, his name is Master John Douglas. Okay, so Master John Douglas has supported me in understanding what happened with the timelines and has helped to create an integration so there's a brain integration support with that, which is really good. Because what I'm sensing is that there's maybe a lack of brain integration for you, which is one of the things I kind of wanted to assess. But it's also part of how I figured out what subconscious material had gotten in my way with, it was a merging of timelines, basically, that I experienced when I started working with him.
That's
So
so confusing to me.
so
So I mean, like,
so
I
you're
just
having
want
a
to.
memory based on something that hasn't happened in this dimension, in this reality.
That sounds crazy to me, but I mean, you
So
could
tell me-
you can say things in interdimensional like phrasing, right? But what I'm saying is, like, I'm not questioning my memory, right?
So the
this
memory
is,
of
this
that
is a
timeline
very
is real.
specific
Yes,
memory.
the memory of that timeline is real. I don't have that memory completely. I know that memory exists on a different timeline, and I've been able to access parts of that timeline. But I don't
So
have
do
it
you
fully.
do you have memory problems yourself during this event?
Well, it's like trying to remember a dream. Because the dream is the other timeline. So I
it
had
seems to me like
in this
kind
timeline,
of beating around the
I
bush
can tell you
unnecessarily.
in this timeline, if I were only basing it on this, I would just say you're not telling me something that actually happened. Does that make sense? I wouldn't have remembered it normally, because most people won't remember a timeline.
I remember you showing me the video, and I also remembered how the conversation went too. Just barely, Christine. I'm not questioning my memory.
And I know that it's familiar to me because it's like you're telling me something I dreamed. I'm like, oh, that is familiar. So it's almost like you've had access to a dream space that we have some
That's an
awareness of.
interesting way to deny the statement.
It didn't happen in this reality. But I understand what you're saying, and so what I know about that is that I saw the outcome of those timelines.
I mean,
And I
you even
was
said
told that.
that you remembered early in the conversation. You even said that you remembered the depth of the hypnosis that I was in.
That I remembered it.
Yeah.
I'm aware of.
You were talking
deep
about that.
hypnosis.
You were talking about that.
I am aware of
So I mean,
hypnosis,
I'd stop
but
beating around the bush, Christine. Seriously.
it's something that it sounds like you accessed in some way, and I don't know how. I know that
What I wanted to ask you is if you can do an induction like that again.
not yet. So I would need to do my second training, but I don't know that I don't know if that's what will end up being the best solution, because what I found is that I also had to be deprogrammed, more or less. Does that make sense? So I was under, so what you're describing is, I was also a victim of that. Does that make sense? Of a deception.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I was brought into, and this is what I've accessed from dream space. Okay. This is not in a reality, this reality. But what I saw was that hypnosis was used to program people. And there is, you know, pornographic aspects to that, homosexuality aspects to that. There's a lot of different things that have been basically brought in to people's experience that were from a dark source that had dark intentions.
So, I mean, you're basically talking about using hypnosis to abuse people.
I am aware of that as a possibility, yes. What I saw in the dream that I had is that I became aware of it and removed myself from it, realizing the potential of that. So I was able to stay awake, whereas other people were inducted. And my ability to stay awake, it's very intense. That means I have
So
a lot of...
what was this experience for you?
It was, so I had a dream around 2018, and I saw a facility, if you want to call it that, with pods in it. And people were experiencing like this, whatever, like there was a solution, there was like an injection. Mm-hmm. They were going deep into a hypnotic state, and they were receiving programs. And then it was like those pods were in this interdimensional space, and then they were brought into this lifetime from there. So I actually was able to escape the hypnosis myself. I was able to actually remove myself from the space and get back in there in time to still come into this dimension, but without the hypnotic.
And you're saying that this was a dream you had back in 2018?
It was a dream I had in 2018. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I'm aware of is that I have an awareness of the dark side. Okay, I've been trying to understand that enough.
Yeah, I get you.
To heal, myself, others throughout this lifetime.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like what you're referring to is almost, like studying serial killer psychology, right?
Okay.
Similar concepts.
Similar concepts.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's behavior and manipulation, behavior and the study of manipulative behavior, the study of abusive behavior.
That's very, very low frequency stuff. Yep. Sociopaths are below 100 frequency-wise. Yep.
I mean, a very similar behavior that serial killers exhibit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Kind of a dark psychology or manipulative psychology to, just studying behavior and thought patterns of people that,
and I don't know
have
I study that.
I mean, I remember even having a conversation regarding narcissists.
Yes, I have.
Sociopaths and
I've been
psychopaths. You taught me the difference between a narcissist and a sociopath.
Okay.
Or a psychopath, whereas
I've been looking at that.
A narcissist has no empathy, although they feel regret and remorse, while a sociopath and a psychopath have no empathy and no regret or remorse.
Okay.
A sociopath is made and a psychopath is born inherently.
I remember explaining that.
I remember you also explained to me that there's actually a chemical difference between, in the brain chemistry, between a psychopath and a normal person.
Okay. I haven't heard that.
Then I also remember watching a YouTube video afterwards when I was out in Vermont discussing, just a topic on the same thing, right?
And so did I create the YouTube video or?
No.
You just watched
it's something I watched afterwards because I remembered you telling me about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I do remember you warning me not to wear a mask. Before COVID-19 started, back in 2018.
Okay.
And you said that you wanted to do that for a presidential exemption.
All
correct?
right. I don't have recollection of that in any. But I don't have all the pieces of any of these timelines either. I have parts and pieces. So.
I mean, you're
That's what I know.
using the terminology timeline to divert from the subject.
Well, then I could just say that didn't happen. I could just say that didn't happen. Because in my experience, it didn't.
To
Not
avoid
in this
saying that
experience.
directly.
Then I don't know that I'm not going to dispute that you have a memory, because I have memories of things that were potentials. Does that make sense? Just like dreams.
So I mean, you're lying to me.
What would I be lying about? What am I lying about?
You do remember hypnotizing me.
No, because I've never been trained as a
You
hypnotherapist.
admitted it earlier in the conversation. Then you started talking about timelines just to divert attention away from what you were actually saying.
I can tell you that
to
I
try
have...
to manipulate the conversation in an attempt to avoid having to directly deny said memory. You referenced in timelines where, you know, it's almost kind of like gaslighting, where you're just saying, you know, I mean, are you sure you weren't dreaming? An attempt to make me question my memory.
Well, let me tell you this other piece, okay? So another piece of what I understand about my life mission, and some of this, I've had to access this quantum level to understand my life mission, okay? But it has to do with what I believe about my first timeline is I had a life path coming into this lifetime where I wanted to accelerate my ascension process. And the way that I was told, and it was a deception, the way I was told I would do that was through psychedelics. But that was a deception. Does that make sense? So what potentially could have happened would have been distorted, destructed, whatever, in, you know, a mix of dark and light. You know, definitely dark energy, whatever, dark intentions would have been part of all that.
Did you say this was part of a training? What did you say?
I was able to view my life path before I entered into this lifetime. So that has to do with what's called life between lives therapy, or life between lives hypnosis. And that's the type of hypnotherapy training that I am utilizing.
I mean, you're talking a lot more about like abstract concepts
It's very abstract.
are not
But what you're
relevant
telling
to
me
the
is
actual
completely
discussion.
abstract, because I have never hypnotized you in this lifetime.
And you didn't do it just barely either.
I used a form of guided imagery with...
It's not hypnosis, though.
It's not true hypnosis.
So, I mean, you do know hypnotherapy. I mean, you
I
have other clients,
been
right?
through level 1 training hypnotherapy, and I have done 2 formal hypnotherapy sessions with that training. I don't feel like that was the ideal thing to work with you, knowing that there was so much complexity to what you're telling me. But I was intrigued because I did get a sense of like your consciousness being aware of something that my consciousness is aware of, and I did get a sense of like you're doing better, which is good news. So I thought, well, let's see where we can
A
go.
sense of your consciousness being aware of something that my consciousness is aware of. Is that what you just said?
I just said that. Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very clever terminology.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah. So consciousness can see all possibilities. A possibility is designed in a timeline. And in our life between lives, we're able to see those
That almost
possible
sounds
timelines.
like you're describing a string theory.
It's somewhat like, yeah, it's quantum. It's quantum. So we're able to see our possibilities in a timeline. And so I observed what would happen if I entered this lifetime based on that path. And so that was a potential timeline. And I was able to see it play out. And apparently
So-
you were part of that timeline.
So, Cristine, say for example, I go see a different hypnotherapist, right?
Okay.
I start with my campaign and everything. They do a formal induction, a standard hypnotic induction, right?
Yeah.
They ask me all these questions regarding what I was instructed when I was hypnotized, right? And
to know all the things in 8 hypnotherapy sessions that you were instructed to do, I don't know how anybody would figure out all of that.
oh, it's very complex and
It's
intricate,
very
isn't it?
complex.
You can make damn near
So
a
there's-
movie about it, right?
Yeah, and so we can't do it from the same level that created it. That's what I'm trying
So,
to tell you. That's Einstein.
If you
right?
want me to finish.
I will listen.
Alright, so, talking about a presidential exemption, you even commented on that before as well.
I don't know what that is, but
You don't know what a presidential exemption is.
I do not.
Well, I do recall you using that terminology, right? In a request.
Not in this lifetime. I've never used that.
Not in this lifetime.
No.
So anyways, regardless, right? Say for example, you wanted to, make a deal or a bargain with somebody, right? Like, let's say this was like law enforcement, right?
Okay.
Oftentimes law enforcement will do things such as, if you give us certain information, right, we can reduce your sentencing.
Okay. Got it.
A presidential exemption is basically defined as, the president, the lead authority over the country, who is elected,
Okay.
exempting a person from a crime. And in order to do so, they need to, have reasonable justification
Okay.
for exemption of the crime. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, so for example, a person who gave warning made a bargain deal, right, with some information, some assistance, right, for law enforcement purposes, for
Okay.
legal purposes, right? And if it's significant enough, they can do things such as reducing criminal penalty, pardons, even presidential exemptions, right? In the public eye, a person commits a crime, right? But they repay a favor, right? And with that favor, in hopes to obtain a presidential exemption, to obtain pardon from punishment for their crimes that they committed. Now, that has to have reasonable justification. So if that person continues committing the same crime over and over and over again, the
That's
public
tough.
would not want
Yeah.
to pardon that crime.
That is probably true.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that's where, say for example, somebody presents an opportunity to that individual. They're being very polite, they're being respectful, they're trying to be understanding.
Okay.
And they're giving them an opportunity to aid them in a situation, right? With a opportunity, if, they do provide that assistance ethically, then, it makes it very reasonable to justify,
Okay.
a presidential exemption in that stance. But whereas, for example, if a person commits the same crime over again, denied ever committing the crime in the first place, and it was recorded on camera, what do you think the public would think about it?
That would be a problem. So, I see what you're saying. I'm not sure what this has to do with me.
We're going into denial. So, what I wanted to do, we have about 15 minutes left.
Yes.
So you're familiar with the of course you told me about some training in hypnosis, right?
Okay.
Now, I wanted to know, you said that you were familiar I mean, you sounded like you were familiar, right? I know you're familiar with narcissism,
I am.
narcissistic personality
Yes.
disorder, even psychology behind a sociopath or serial killer's mind, right?
To some extent. Yeah.
To some extent, okay. So, I mean, you might be familiar with the psychological abuse termed gaslighting, is
I
that
am
correct?
familiar with gaslighting, yes.
So it's a psychological form of manipulation. The psychological form of manipulation is defined as questioning one's sanity, questioning their memory, questioning their sense of reality or their beliefs. A lot of tactics that a person will use is variety of things, such as, I mean, changing the subject entirely to a different situation to put blame onto the victim.
Okay.
Let's see. My mind's a little fuzzy here. So I apologize about that, right?
Yeah, so is this the most beneficial for you right now? Because I really would like to invite you to experience something that you haven't experienced before. It takes 15 minutes. And it is similar to a hypnotherapeutic.
I mean, you're saying similar, but it's not the same thing.
No?
Okay. Well, I just wanted to bounce some ideas off of you then.
Okay, and that's what is most valuable to you right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what I wanted to do with the gaslighting, right, aspect, I wanted to make psychological abuse, the gaslighting, the insidious form of psychological abuse, oh my God, this hypnosis is inhibiting my ability to speak so much.
Yeah.
Wow, this is ridiculous. It reminds me of the TED Talk where the guy's not even able to pronounce the number 6, just the first letter of it, and he's hissing the entire time, right? Anyways, now that I pointed out what's happening and why I'm having so much difficulty speaking, I'm hoping to be able to say this. So, I wanted to make gaslighting, the psychological form of manipulation used to make an individual question their sanity, their memory, or their beliefs, a third-degree felony in the United States. That was not as difficult to say that time.
Okay.
Also, it's an insidious form of deception. So, by insidious, that's defined as it starts out very subtle, trying to go unnoticed, correct? So, I just want to have some form of validation on these statements, right, regarding gaslighting and what a gaslighter will do, right?
Okay.
So, in my experience, a lot of gaslighters will do things such as calling a person crazy, calling them mentally ill, accusing them of drug use, or blaming problems on substance use in general, even if it's not a problem, right? Such as having an occasional drink, even if it's not an addiction or a substance abuse problem. It's just a substance being used.
Okay.
Blaming an individual for that, making it appear as an addiction when it's not, in order to manipulate and control that individual.
And
Correct.
How do you know what their intention is? Do they clarify the intention?
So, I mean, you're a therapist,
That's the
and
question.
this is very real, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's the concept of getting to know an individual, right? Past experiences. A lot of the times, a gaslighter will even, attempt to, make an individual, make their victim question their memory, right? Make the victim feel at fault, right?
Okay.
For the situation at hand. Even, as an example, claiming to be innocent, going into denial about a situation that happened, questioning the victim's memory, questioning the victim's sanity. Is that correct?
I'm just going to state that my experience, gaslighting would involve a certain amount of intention.
Yes, it
From
is
a
very
person
deliberate. It's very
to
intentional.
cause harm. I'm going to stand by that. Because there's
It
many things.
is a psychological form of manipulation or abuse.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's the word that I meant to say, not manipulation. So, I
if
mean,
that's the intention of the person, then that would be considered gaslighting. If the intention is to do harm by using medication or saying that, yeah, substances are a problem, whatever. If their intention is to do harm, then that would be probably gaslighting. Correct.
so I mean, varieties of harm would be typically used to control an individual, right? To make them dependent on a person, to separate them from friends and family as well.
Yes, those are examples of harm.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It causes very unhealthy relationships. And, you know, I'm getting these mental blocks right now from the hypnosis. I can't even think right now. It's like when I was in that what's going on in my mind right now? It's like I can't think. I can't control my thoughts. I can't process anything. It's like a void. My mind is blank. It's empty.
You on different things instead of just the mind. Because if you depend on mental approaches to solve all of the mental issues, you can go circular. And so that's where I recommend for people that are dealing with things like you are, to do things like yoga, to take up art, to go out in nature, to use physical and emotional
it's
tools.
definitely been feeling repetitive because I'm not able to finish my sentences or statements properly. Yeah. It reminds me so much of that TED Talk that I saw. That's why, they used hypnosis to inhibit my freedom of speech. Which is a constitutional right here in the United States. Well, that's a violation of human rights right there.
Yeah, and
in that TED Talk, this person, right? So the Incredible Boris on his TED Talk, he hypnotized an individual named Darren to forget his own name and to think his name was Chip, and it actually worked. Whenever Boris asked him his name, he said that his name was Chip multiple times. And then he hypnotized Chip, or Darren, formally, to forget the number 6. And then there was someone named, I forget her name, but wasn't Eileen, different name. And he erased the number 6 from her memory completely, instructed her to just skip over it. Doesn't even matter, right? Just on to the next logical number, which would be 7. And then he had her count her fingers. He asked her how many fingers she had. She said 10, right? So he counted, he got to 5. She counted it just fine. When she got to number 6, she didn't know.
Yeah.
So then he asked, Darren to answer the question. He started hissing. He tried his hardest to say the number 6. That's the type of situation I'm in. I'm not able to speak properly. Okay. So, because of the hypnosis. And basically what ended up happening was, he asked her to do it again. She skipped over the number 6, counted 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fingers. That was a perfect example, right, of hypnosis. That's an excellent example that I'm planning on using for my campaign because it's very deliberate and intentional and showing the power of hypnosis and inhibiting the ability to speak of an individual.
So there is harm that has been done through hypnosis. I am aware of that. In cases, they're probably documented. I don't study a lot of that. My question for you is what you're spending your time and energy on, and you described it in your guided imagery session as this big, overwhelming theater screen of a lot of work. Is that the highest purpose that you could go forward with? Is there a higher purpose? Because when you're talking about political campaigns and trying to reduce harm,
It's
a
a
good
campaign
thing.
based off of abuse, right?
Yeah.
You've talked about how, you know,
It is
hypnosis
there a
can be
higher
abused.
level
You know,
that you
that
could
that's
go to.
the first part of the campaign is, you know,
Okay.
making involuntary hypnosis a third-degree felony, making abusive hypnosis a secondary felony. I also wanted to make every emergency room in the United States staffed with a certified hypnotherapist, as well as, you know, making gaslighting, the psychological form of abuse, a third-degree felony. It's based off of abuse, right? I mean, that's what the campaign is based off of. And then there's other aspects of the campaign, yes, but, you know, that's the foundation and that's the cause of the campaign, right? It's just centered around abuse and abuse prevention and providing resources to victims, as well as, you know, and as well as providing, you know, law enforcement intervention by providing laws against these forms of abuse. Because currently there's no laws against it. So, I mean, it's currently just legal, right?
The biggest issue I see with this...
It's legal to psychologically abuse people using those two different methods.
So there's
technically
the
in the
two
United
things
States.
that you might want to sort through. Is one is establishing intention. Because I think 9 times out of 10,
these are very deliberate forms of abuse.
We assume negative intention, but I think 9 times out of 10 we assume negative intention. When the negative intention wasn't implied, it wasn't really actually there. We become victims through our own mind. Okay? So I think that's one thing to look at. The other is the idea that really what I think you're hoping to accomplish is relief and some level of healing for yourself. And going on a big campaign to try to fix a lot of people may be a lot more work than doing the work of just your own healing and staying open to possibilities that go outside of the box of hypnosis as a solution.
Well, the hypnosis is directly inhibiting me from being able to speak. That's why, you know, I'm using that TED Talk as the example, right? It's a perfect example. Very visual, very audible, right? The incredible Boris is his name, the hypnotist, did an excellent job, you know, educating and presenting. Very entertaining as well. So regardless, you know, I'm using that example because it's a perfect demonstration of the obstacle that I'm going through, right? Okay. My obstacle is not near as visual as his example is, which is why, you know, I have to use that example because,
and so if
you know, the instructions included instructions to make it unnoticeable when I'm inhibited from talking, to make it unnoticeable when my memory is inhibited, as well as, you know, when you're abusing somebody with hypnosis, it's very simple, right? Like, if a person is being abusive using hypnosis, they're typically very deliberate, right? It's not something accidental. You don't hypnotize somebody to forget their name on accident. That doesn't happen on accident. You don't induce hypnosis on accident. Hypnosis is an intentional, very deliberate action, right? And then second, same with gaslighting. Gaslighting is very deliberate. It's very intentional. It's prepared. It's elaborate. But anyways, I do appreciate you.
Thank you. Yes.
And I appreciate you allowing me to record this. I will be probably seeking a second opinion.
Yeah. And I think being able to identify the specific areas that need to be corrected, I mean, that sounds like a very long list, but that might be another alternative is to work on specifically, like, being able to speak or drink water or all those.
Just being able to speak, it makes such a difference.
Yeah. But I think the power of your own mind.
I can barely talk. How am I supposed to explain
the power of your own mind? Yeah.
Different hypnosis experiences, right?
Okay.
Or situations. I mean, that's a lot of time, right? I imagine each of these could have been an hour in length.
So like,
I know, exactly. It could take a long time to correct it that way. So,
well, I mean, formal induction can be a rather simple process. So I appreciate it.
you're welcome. So, yeah, I've learned a lot, I think, from you as well. So, I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're doing better. It's good to see.
Thank you.
Stay
Appreciate
there.
that.
Stay there. Okay.
That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. Barely talk. I'm just ending this video with I'm gonna be including the TED Talk on hypnosis that I was referencing just earlier, just so everybody can see it, right? Have it in the same video. Even though I have to walk across the street for it. That's how I'm gonna end this. So, by the way, I wanted to say this real quick. When she was talking about different timelines, that's actually how she tried to gaslight me. I think I even remember being told that that's what they instructed her to, the terminology they gave her instructions to use, just so that she could gaslight me without directly denying the statement.
want her put in prison for this now. That was deliberate gaslighting. Okay, so I mean, this was expected. She didn't use any form of hypnosis. That's what I was worried about with this entire thing. Because there's a very realistic possibility I might kill myself just to get unhypnotized, just to prove my point. That's horrible, isn't it? I would also like to point out how she said and claimed that she was going to use hypnosis earlier in the video, in the session, and then she did some guided imagery, and then at least she denied that it was hypnosis. She did admit that she didn't use hypnosis, but she claimed that she was going to. That's a poor business practice, but it's also just gaslighting. Unfortunately. So let me see here. Okay, I have to wait for this phone to charge, and then I'm going to be finishing up the video here shortly. This video in total, it's most likely just going to end up being clipped. Although I am definitely going to leave it on my Facebook. %. This did just very recently say it was at 0% too, even though I did barely show you it was at 2. So, let's see. %. Wow. So just by pushing the button, apparently it killed 2% of its battery. Didn't vibrate, didn't try to turn on. Just went from 2% to 0%, just in that blink of an eye. Oh, back at 2%, right? It's powering on now. Wonderful. Lovely. And this battery is at 20%. This is a 20,000 milliamp battery. You can't exactly see it, which is interesting, the pattern of light that it appears to be on the camera, even though it actually says it's 20% right now. So this battery is charging the phone. You might vaguely be able to make out that battery icon, and it is charging. Charging 2%. I'm going to move closer to the grocery store just for the Wi-Fi connection. I'm going to go ahead and get this connected to the Bluetooth speaker right now. Turning device. I am doing this just to ensure audio clarity of the video at volume, hertz volume. Just because the speech you have to listen very, very closely. It's difficult to hear. Very quiet. So that's why I have the speaker. And I'll be approaching the grocery store here very quickly. Just walking through the parking lot. That was very disturbing to see Cristine's reaction in that entire process. Definitely don't imagine anything good coming from that, other than the video that I recorded from it. My freedom, my ability to speak was inhibited so much from the hypnosis. That I mean, like, it sounded like, you know, I was unintelligent, like I didn't know what I was talking about. I had these memory blocks, you know, which is, as an example, I had to actually, write down several things just to prepare to do a video, which I don't normally have to do. But ever since I got hypnotized, I have to, because I forget what I'm saying mid-sentence. I can't think. My clarity is gone out of the window. Cognitive inhibition to an extreme. It's terrifying. So, I'm gonna go ahead and connect to the Wi-Fi, play that video. Okay, I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, but it's not giving me an internet connection, oddly enough. I was able to connect down the street. There we go, now it's working. So regardless, I'm going to go ahead and pull up YouTube and I will play the video. Okay, like I said earlier in this, right? The example I'm using is The Incredible Boris, so he's a comedy hypnotist, right? Let me just ensure this is turned all the way up. Turn this up all the way. There's an advertisement. I'll go ahead and skip past the advertisement. Allow me to pull out my stylus here.
When I pulled up my phone.
Okay, it has a Wi-Fi connection. There we go. So this is hypnosis.
Get everyone wide awake. Wide awake. Now let's meet our good friend and let me find out.
Okay, so I'm connected to the Bluetooth speaker. It's not playing on the Bluetooth speaker. For some reason, it seems as if it's disconnected from the Bluetooth device. There it is. Okay, pairing.
Bluetooth connected.
There we go. There's the audio. So this example of inhibition of speech is the primary reason for why I would commit suicide. And why I need to be, quote, unhypnotized, as the terminology that I'm using. Or have the hypnotic suggestion reversed properly.
One wide awake. Wide awake. Now let's meet our good friend and let me find out who you are. You are Darren. Great to have you up here. Definitely, Darren. My name is Boris. I travel a lot. I meet a lot of people and spend a lot of time saying hi to people, but names are not the strongest. So your name definitely is Darren, right? Darren, let it sink in. You do not remember your name right now. Wide awake. Now you were about to tell us your name, and of course it is. Go ahead. Keep going. I will get to you in a second. My name's Boris. You are? Keep going. I know you can. And deep asleep now. Deep asleep. Darren, let it sink in. When I wake you up in just a second. Your name will no longer be Darren. For the duration of this presentation, your name will be no other than Chip. C-H-I-P, Chip. Let it sink in. You will be very proud of your name. However, at any point in time throughout the show that I forget your name, you'll get more and more upset with me about the fact that I cannot remember such an easy name as Chip, and you will correct me every time, and absolutely wide awake as Chip. Now, wide awake. So you were going to tell us your name, and go ahead, speak out loud to everybody out there. Great. It's such a pleasure. And you think that stuff is being played along? Not yet. We are getting a little bit further along with this, and I'm just trying to figure out. Let's talk to the beautiful lady right over here. Your name was Aline. Aline. What? And your name? I'm sorry. Just Stephanie. Yeah, just go like this. This way we know who we're talking to. And Aline, and you were Larissa. So Larissa, Aline, and. All right, I'm just trying to get acquainted, trying to figure out who people are. Now, let me ask you, how many fingers do you have? Just like everybody else, we all have 10 fingers, right? 10 fingers, that's all I'm trying to find out. Now, Louisa, let me ask you this. How many fingers do you have? 10? 10, right? Whatever. And Louisa, deep asleep now, and deep asleep. Want to wake you up. Want to wake you up in just a second. Number 6 does not exist in your mind. I have completely erased number 6 from your mind. You will go over it, go on to the next logical number, and it won't even matter to you. And Chip, deep asleep now. You, on the other hand, cannot pronounce number 6 no matter how much you try. Anytime you try to pronounce number 6, only the first letter, the sound S will come out and no more. And the more you screw it up, the more you will try to correct yourself. The more you try to correct yourself, the more you will screw it up and wide awake. Yeah, both of you, wide awake. And you were telling me you have 10 fingers, right? She was just saying that to me. Do me a favor, put your hands out in front of you, both of them, and just count your fingers for us out loud. Let me just take the microphone so that you can see. 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Go on. You want to help her out after 5 comes. After 5 comes. After 5 comes.
See, this is the example
7, 8,
for why I would kill myself.
9, 10, 11.
11 fingers. She's got 11 fingers. And you were telling me you have 10 fingers, right? And just count your fingers for us out loud. Let me just take the microphone so that you can see. 1.
1, 2.
Go on. You want to help her out after 5 comes.
This right here, this is the reason I would kill myself. He can't say it.
After
That's
5
why I would
comes.
kill myself. You can hear him hissing.
After 5 comes.
That's why I would kill myself.
7, 8,
Because I can't talk. Because of the hypnosis.
9.
I would kill myself because of that.
10, 11.
11 fingers. She's got 11 fingers. Chip. Chip, see it, Chip. I'm kind of. Did you come in here with 10 fingers?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Still 11. Dude, that's like a lot of fingers. Now, I absolutely love television.
Okay.
All of you deep asleep.
So, Cristine Price is a certified hypnotherapist. What she did was not hypnotherapy. She did admit to that as well. You know, I would kill myself just to get unhypnotized. So, I don't know exactly. How to describe the way I'm feeling, or even, you know, like what exactly to do at this moment. I mean, obviously I need to see a different hypnotherapist. This could, you know, take a prolonged period of time before I can get in for an appointment. But I would kill myself gladly just to get hypnotized because I could not tolerate this. I can't do it.
I'm not gonna live just so I can be abused. You know, so I mean, if you feel sad that I kill myself, right? I don't care. I want you to know I needed to be unhypnotized. So unless you care about that, you shouldn't care about me. Don't pretend that you do. Unless you care that I need to get hypnotized. So anyways, have a wonderful day, everyone. I'm going to check this video out. Have a great day.